Tom was an ordinary man who lived in a quiet, friendly neighborhood. The streets were clean, the houses looked well cared for, and the people who lived there were polite to one another. Tom had moved here a few years ago because he liked the peace and calm. It was the kind of place where kids played safely outside, neighbors greeted each other with smiles, and no one rushed or shouted. Tom loved living here. One sunny afternoon, after a long day at work, Tom came home feeling tired but happy. He was looking forward to sitting down with a cup of tea and reading his favorite book. When he pulled up to his house and parked his car in his driveway, he noticed something strange. There was a man standing near his car. The man wore a blue uniform with a badge on his chest and a hat that read HOA Security. Tom had seen the neighborhood association's security a few times before, but this man looked different. He seemed nervous and his uniform was not quite right. But before Tom could say anything, the man stepped forward with a serious look on his face. "Sir, you are parked in a no parking zone," the man said sharply. "You need to move your car right now." Tom blinked in surprise. He looked at his driveway. It was his own driveway, the space he had used for years without any problems. "This is my driveway," Tom said calmly. "I'm allowed to park here." The man didn't smile or try to explain. Instead, he raised his fist and suddenly smashed the side mirror of Tom's car. The glass shattered, pieces falling on the ground. Tom froze, shocked and confused. "Why did you do that?" he asked, stepping back. The man sneered. "You need to learn a lesson about following the rules," he said. Tom was confused. He did not understand why this man was acting this way. No one in the neighborhood had ever treated him like this before. He looked at the man closely and noticed something strange. The badge did not look real, and the uniform seemed cheap and fake. "Who are you really?" Tom asked, his voice steady but cautious. The man didn't answer. Instead, he turned and started walking away. Tom wanted to call him back, but he was unsure if the man would get angry again. His heart was pounding. Why had this man smashed his car? What was going on? Tom took out his phone and quickly called the police. He explained what had happened and gave a description of the man. The officer on the other end told Tom they would send someone over to check, but it might take some time. While Tom waited, he looked at the damage on his car. The side mirror was broken badly. He felt angry but also confused. Was this some kind of joke? Or was this man trying to scare him? Tom decided to ask his neighbors if they had seen anything. He walked to the house next door and spoke with Mrs. Patel, an elderly woman who had lived in the neighborhood for many years. "Mrs. Patel, did you see a man in a uniform near my car?" Tom asked. Mrs. Patel nodded slowly. "Yes, I saw someone earlier today. But I thought he was with the HOA. He looked different, though. I'm not sure if he really belonged here." Tom thanked her and went to talk to Mr. Garcia, another neighbor. "He wasn't a real officer," Mr. Garcia said firmly. "I saw him too. His uniform was all wrong. He's not one of us." Tom's mind raced. Who was this man? Why did he want to scare him or damage his car? And what could he do next? Later that evening, Tom's phone rang. It was the police officer who had come to the neighborhood. "Tom, we checked with the HOA, and no one here has sent any security officer today. The man you described is not on their list," the officer said. Tom felt a mix of relief and worry. Relief because he knew the man was a fake, but worry because someone like that was walking around his peaceful neighborhood. He decided to take pictures of the broken mirror and the man's uniform left behind on the ground. Tom wanted proof to show the HOA and the police. As night fell, Tom sat in his living room, thinking about what had happened. He felt a strong need to protect his home and his community. This was not just about a broken mirror. It was about someone pretending to be a person in power, someone trying to scare people without a reason. Tom made a plan. He would speak with the HOA board in the morning and share everything he knew. He would also talk to his neighbors to make sure everyone stayed safe and alert. For the first time in years, the quiet neighborhood felt a little less safe. But Tom was determined to bring back peace. He knew he had to stand strong, not just for himself but for everyone who called this place home. The next morning, Tom woke up early with a sense of determination. The broken side mirror on his car was still fresh in his mind, and he knew he had to do something. He got ready quickly, ate his breakfast, and headed to the community center where the Homeowners Association, HOA, held its meetings. The HOA was responsible for managing the neighborhood, making rules, and helping keep everything in order. Tom had attended a few meetings before, but today felt different. He was ready to speak up. As Tom entered the room, he saw familiar faces, neighbors who cared about their homes, the neighborhood, and each other. The HOA board members sat at the front, ready to begin the meeting. Tom took a deep breath and waited for his turn. When the chairperson called his name, Tom stood up and walked to the front. "I want to talk about what happened yesterday," he said clearly. "A man pretending to be an HOA officer damaged my car. He said I was parked in a no parking zone, but this is my driveway. I think he was trying to scare me." The room grew quiet. People looked at each other with surprise and concern. One of the board members, a kind woman named Mrs. Evans, nodded and said, "Tom, thank you for telling us. We haven't heard about anything like this before. We will look into it immediately." Another board member, Mr. Lewis, added, "We will check our security records and cameras to see if anyone has seen this man. We want everyone to feel safe in this neighborhood." Tom showed the pictures he had taken of the broken mirror and the man's fake uniform. The board members examined them closely. "This is serious," Mrs. Evans said. "Someone is pretending to be an officer and damaging property. We will send a notice to all residents to be careful and report any suspicious activity." Tom felt relieved that the HOA was taking his complaint seriously. But deep inside, he still wondered why this man had targeted him. After the meeting, several neighbors came up to Tom to offer their support. Mrs. Patel smiled kindly and said, "We must all watch out for each other. It's good you spoke up." Mr. Garcia nodded, "We will be more alert. Let's keep our neighborhood safe together." Tom returned home feeling hopeful. He knew the fake officer was still out there, but he was not alone anymore. Later that day, Tom's phone rang again. It was his friend, Lisa, who lived a few blocks away. "Tom, did you hear about what happened to Mr. Jensen?" she asked. "No, what happened?" Tom replied. Lisa sounded worried. "Someone knocked on his door yesterday, saying they were with the HOA security. Mr. Jensen didn't open the door, but the man stayed outside for a long time. It seems like the same person who was at your house." Tom frowned. This was getting worse. The man was not just causing trouble to one person, he was disturbing the whole neighborhood. Tom and Lisa decided to visit Mr. Jensen together. When they arrived, Mr. Jensen welcomed them warmly. "It's true," Mr. Jensen said. "I didn't trust the man. He looked strange and his badge didn't seem real. I called my son to come and help me. I'm glad I didn't open the door. Tom thanked Mr. Jensen for being careful. We need to tell everyone to watch out, Tom said. The three of them agreed to organize a neighborhood watch group. They wanted to make sure everyone knew what was happening and could protect themselves. That evening, Tom and Lisa went door to door, sharing information about the fake officer and encouraging neighbors to be cautious. They asked people to report any suspicious person to the police or the HOA immediately. Many neighbors were thankful. "This is why we live in a community," said Mrs. Patel. "We must take care of each other." Tom felt proud. Even though the situation was troubling, it had brought the community closer. But the fake officer had not given up. A few nights later, Tom noticed something strange outside his window. A shadow moved quickly near his driveway. Tom's heart beat faster. Was it the same man? He quietly went outside but saw no one. The street was empty and calm. Still, Tom felt a little scared. He decided to install security cameras around his house to keep an eye on things. The next day, Tom shared his plan with the HOA. They agreed to help with extra lights and security measures in the neighborhood. As days passed, the neighborhood watch group grew stronger. Neighbors talked more, looked out for one another, and stayed connected. The fake officer's visits became less frequent. One afternoon, Tom received a call from the police. They had found a man pretending to be an HOA officer. He was questioned and admitted he wanted to scare people for his own reasons. The police warned him to stay away from the neighborhood. Tom felt relief wash over him. The neighborhood was safe again. At the next HOA meeting, Tom spoke again. "I want to thank everyone for their support. Together, we stopped someone who was trying to hurt our peace." Mrs. Evans smiled. "This shows the power of community. When we work together, we can overcome any challenge." Tom looked around the room, seeing the faces of neighbors who had become friends. He realized that the strange and frightening day had changed everything, not just for him but for everyone. They were no longer just people living side by side. They were a community, ready to protect and support one another. And for Tom, that was the most important thing of all. After the fake officer was caught and warned by the police, the neighborhood felt a wave of relief. But Tom knew the situation had taught everyone a valuable lesson: trust was important, but so was being careful. In the days that followed, Tom and his neighbors worked hard to make the neighborhood safer. The HOA installed new streetlights, and several families put up security cameras. Tom's own home was now watched by small cameras on every corner, giving him peace of mind. The neighborhood watch group grew steadily. More people wanted to help and be part of something bigger than themselves. Tom, Lisa, Mrs. Patel, and Mr. Garcia became the group's leaders, organizing weekly meetings and sharing updates. The meetings were held in the community center, and sometimes neighbors brought snacks or tea to share. One afternoon, during one of these meetings, Mrs. Patel suggested, "Why don't we also create a phone tree? That way, if anyone sees something strange, they can quickly call others and warn everyone." "That's a great idea," Tom said, writing it down. "Communication is key." Everyone agreed to sign up, and soon, each street had a list of phone numbers for neighbors to call in case of emergencies or concerns. The sense of teamwork grew stronger every day. One evening, Tom was walking his dog, Max, around the block. He stopped to chat with Mrs. Nguyen, a young mother with two small children. She smiled warmly and said, "Thank you, Tom. I feel much safer knowing there's a watch group and cameras." Tom nodded. "We're all in this together." It's not just about safety, it's about caring for each other. Mrs. Nguyen looked thoughtful. You know, before all this happened, I didn't really know many neighbors. Now, I feel connected. Tom smiled. That's the best part. We're more than neighbors now. We're friends. As the weeks went by, the neighborhood felt livelier. Children played outside more often, families hosted small gatherings, and neighbors checked on each other regularly. The community center became a place where people met, shared stories, and helped solve small problems before they became big. One day, Tom received a letter from the HOA. It thanked him for his courage and leadership during the recent trouble. The letter also invited him to join the HOA board. Tom was surprised but honored. He accepted, ready to help make the neighborhood even better. At the next board meeting, Tom spoke about new ideas for community events, block parties, clean-up days, and even a gardening club. The other members were excited and supported the plans. Meanwhile, Lisa organized safety workshops where local police officers came to teach neighbors about home security, emergency preparedness, and how to recognize suspicious behavior. The workshops were popular, and many people attended, learning useful tips. One afternoon, during a workshop, a young man named David asked, "What should we do if we see someone pretending to be a security officer again?" The officer smiled and replied, "Always ask for proper identification and never let anyone into your home unless you are sure of who they are. Call the police immediately if you feel unsafe." David nodded, feeling more confident. Despite the positive changes, Tom never forgot the fear he felt when the fake officer smashed his car. It reminded him how important it was to stay vigilant. One evening, as Tom was closing his garage, he saw a car slowly driving by his house. The headlights were off, and the car didn't stop. Tom felt a little uneasy but decided to watch quietly. After a few minutes, the car drove away. Tom made a note to tell the neighborhood watch group at their next meeting. He knew that small things like this could matter. The community appreciated Tom's dedication. They trusted him to look out for them and to keep the spirit of the neighborhood alive. A few months later, the HOA decided to celebrate the neighborhood's progress with a big block party. Everyone was invited: families, children, seniors, and even pets. Tom helped set up decorations, tables, and a small stage for music. Lisa organized games for the kids, while Mrs. Patel baked cookies for everyone. The party was a huge success. People laughed, shared food, and talked about how far they had come. It was a celebration not only of safety but of friendship. Tom looked around and saw neighbors he had never talked to before joining the fun. He felt a deep sense of happiness and pride. As the sun set, Tom stood by the stage and spoke into the microphone. "This neighborhood showed true strength. When we came together, we made this place safe and welcoming. Let's keep caring for each other every day." The crowd cheered. Tom's words touched many hearts. Later that night, Tom sat on his porch with Max. The quiet street was peaceful again. Tom thought about everything that had happened: the fear, the anger, the hope, and the friendship. He realized that even when things seem difficult or scary, people can come together and make things better. It only takes courage, kindness, and trust. And Tom knew that as long as the neighbors stood side by side, no one could shake their community again. After the successful block party, life in the neighborhood seemed to return to normal. The sun shone brightly, kids laughed as they played outside, and neighbors greeted each other warmly. Tom felt proud of what they had all achieved together. The fear from before felt like a distant memory. But as the saying goes, every peaceful moment can be tested. One afternoon, A letter arrived at Tom's house. It was from the HOA board but had a different tone than usual. The letter said that there was a new concern in the neighborhood: some families were not following the community rules. There were complaints about loud noises late at night, trash left outside, and even cars parked in the wrong places. Tom frowned as he read the letter. He knew keeping a neighborhood peaceful was not always easy. It needed patience, kindness, and understanding. That evening, Tom invited some neighbors over to his house to talk. Lisa, Mrs. Patel, Mr. Garcia, and a few others came. "We did great in stopping the fake officer," Tom said, "but now we face another challenge: making sure everyone respects the community rules." Mrs. Patel nodded thoughtfully. "Sometimes people don't realize how their actions affect others. We need to remind them gently." Lisa added, "Maybe we can organize friendly visits. We can talk to those neighbors and listen to their side too." The group agreed. They formed a new team called Community Helpers. Their mission was to talk kindly with neighbors who might not know about the rules or who might be having a hard time. The next day, the community helpers went around the neighborhood. When they visited homes, they left small notes with friendly reminders about keeping noise low, managing trash properly, and parking correctly. Tom visited a house where a young family lived. The children were playing loudly in the backyard. "Hello," Tom said with a smile. "We just wanted to share some reminders about noise and quiet hours. We want everyone to enjoy the neighborhood." The mother thanked Tom and explained that her children had been excited about school starting and had been a little noisy. Tom understood and reassured her that it was okay to have fun, but asked if she could help keep noise down during the evenings. Most neighbors appreciated the visits and promised to be more careful. Some even thanked the team for being so kind. However, not everyone was happy. A few neighbors felt annoyed by the reminders. They said it was their home and they could do what they liked. Tom felt a little frustrated but remembered what Mrs. Patel had said about patience. He knew change took time. Meanwhile, the neighborhood watch group continued its work. One night, Tom was walking Max when he noticed a group of teenagers gathering near the park. They were loud and seemed to be causing trouble. Tom approached them calmly and said, "Hey, guys. It's getting late, and some people are trying to sleep. Can you please keep the noise down?" One teenager looked surprised but nodded. "Sorry, sir. We didn't mean to bother anyone." Tom smiled. "Thanks for understanding." The teenagers moved on quietly. Tom realized that sometimes a simple word could make a big difference. At the next HOA meeting, Tom shared the progress of the community helpers and the neighborhood watch. The board members were pleased but reminded everyone to keep working together. Mrs. Evans, the chairperson, said, "This neighborhood is special because of its people. When you all care, the community grows stronger." One evening, Tom sat on his porch and thought about the journey so far. The fake officer, the broken mirror, the block party, and now this new challenge, all parts of a bigger story. Just then, Lisa joined him, carrying a small box of cookies. Thinking about everything, she asked with a smile. Tom nodded. "Yes. It's not always easy, but I feel hopeful." Lisa laughed softly. "That's the spirit." As they talked, a gentle breeze blew through the trees. The neighborhood looked peaceful under the setting sun. Suddenly, Tom noticed a small group of children playing nearby. They laughed and chased each other with joy. Tom smiled. "No matter what happens, this is what we're protecting: our home, our peace, and our happiness." Lisa agreed. "And together, we can face anything." The days passed, and the neighborhood continued to improve. The community helpers found new ways to connect people, like organizing cleanup days and planting flowers along the sidewalks. Tom even started a newsletter called Our Neighborhood News, where neighbors could share stories, ideas, and thank yous. It became a popular way for everyone to stay connected. One afternoon, Tom received a message from the HOA board. They were impressed with his work and asked if he would help train new board members on community building. Tom accepted, feeling proud and ready for new challenges. But he knew one thing for sure: no matter what the future held, the neighborhood's strength would always come from its people, their kindness, respect, and willingness to come together. And that gave Tom a deep sense of peace. The neighborhood had grown stronger over the past few months. Thanks to Tom and the hard work of the community helpers and the neighborhood watch, peace and friendship filled the streets once again. Life was good, and everyone felt proud to be part of such a caring community. One morning, Tom was watering his plants in the front yard when he noticed a car slowly driving down the street. He looked closer and felt a sudden chill. It was the same car that had been seen lurking around before. His heart skipped a beat. Could it be that the fake officer had come back? Tom watched carefully as the car stopped near the corner. A man stepped out wearing a plain shirt and a hat pulled low over his eyes. He looked around suspiciously before heading toward the park. Tom quickly called Lisa and told her what he had seen. "I think he's back," Tom said quietly. "We need to be careful." Lisa agreed. "I'll let the neighborhood watch know right away." Tom and Lisa hurried to the park, where a small group of neighbors had already gathered. They explained what they saw, and the watch group decided to keep a close eye on the man. Meanwhile, the man walked near the playground, watching the children playing. Something about him made everyone uneasy, but no one wanted to cause trouble. Tom stepped forward calmly and said, "Hello, sir. Can I help you?" The man looked surprised but forced a smile. "Just taking a walk," he said. Tom nodded but felt cautious. "This is a safe place for families. If you need help, you can speak to the HOA." The man nodded again and walked away quickly. The neighbors watched him go, feeling a mix of relief and concern. Later that day, the HOA board met to discuss the situation. Mrs. Evans said, "We must be careful but also kind. Sometimes people come with problems of their own." Tom agreed. "We don't want to cause fear, but we need to protect our community." The board decided to increase patrols and remind neighbors to stay alert. They also encouraged everyone to welcome new faces with kindness but caution. That evening, Tom and Lisa visited some houses to talk to neighbors about staying safe. They reminded people to lock doors, watch for strangers, and report anything unusual. Most neighbors appreciated the advice and promised to stay vigilant. Days passed, and the mysterious man did not cause any trouble. He seemed to keep to himself, walking quietly through the neighborhood. One afternoon, Tom saw the man sitting alone on a park bench, looking tired and sad. Tom approached gently. "Are you okay?" Tom asked. The man looked up, surprised but not unfriendly. "I'm just going through a hard time," he said quietly. Tom sat down nearby. "If you need help, there are people here who care." The man nodded slowly. "Thank you. I didn't mean to scare anyone." Tom smiled. "Sometimes, when we feel lost, it's easy to make mistakes. But it's never too late to start again." Over the next few weeks, the man began to visit the community center, attending events, and meeting neighbors. Slowly, people started to accept him. They saw that he wanted to be part of something good. Tom watched with pride as the neighborhood grew even closer. The man's presence became a reminder that kindness and understanding could change even the hardest situations. One evening, during a community helpers meeting, Lisa said, "This is why we do what we do. Everyone deserves a chance." Tom nodded. Our neighborhood is not just about rules or safety. It's about people helping each other grow. The man, whose name was Mark, shared his story. He had been going through a difficult time and didn't know how to ask for help. The neighborhood's kindness gave him hope. Tom felt grateful. What had started as fear and confusion had turned into friendship and trust. As the sun set over the peaceful streets, Tom thought about the journey so far. The broken mirror, the fake officer, the challenges, and now a new beginning. He knew that the strength of their community came not from buildings or rules but from the hearts of the people who cared. And with that thought, Tom smiled, feeling ready for whatever the future might bring. The neighborhood had come a long way from the time when the fake officer first caused trouble. With Mark now part of the community, things felt even more peaceful. People smiled more often, children played freely, and neighbors helped one another with kindness. One bright Saturday morning, the HOA board and the community helpers team decided to organize a special event, a community celebration day. The goal was to thank everyone for their hard work and to welcome new neighbors like Mark. Tom and Lisa worked together to plan the event. They arranged games for children, food stalls with homemade treats, music, and even a small talent show where neighbors could perform. The word spread quickly, and soon the whole neighborhood was buzzing with excitement. On the day of the celebration, colorful banners decorated the streets, and tables filled with delicious food lined the community park. Families arrived early, bringing picnic blankets and lawn chairs. Tom greeted everyone warmly. "Welcome, everyone. Today is a day to celebrate our neighborhood, our home, and our friends." The air was filled with laughter and music as children ran around playing games like sack races and tug of war. Lisa helped organize a face painting booth, which was a big hit with the kids. Mark helped by setting up tables and greeting neighbors. He seemed happier than Tom had ever seen him before. At the talent show, neighbors sang songs, told jokes, and shared stories. Tom was amazed at the many hidden talents in the neighborhood. The spirit of community was alive and strong. During a quiet moment, Tom sat with Mrs. Patel and Mr. Garcia, watching the happy faces around the park. Mrs. Patel smiled and said, "Look how far we've come. Remember when the fake officer scared us? Now, we've built something beautiful." Mr. Garcia nodded. "It's true. It wasn't easy, but everyone's kindness made all the difference." Tom felt proud but also thoughtful. He knew that maintaining this harmony would take ongoing effort. Later, the HOA chairperson, Mrs. Evans, took the stage to speak. "I want to thank each and every one of you for your commitment to this community," she said. "We've faced challenges, but we have grown stronger because we faced them together. This neighborhood is more than just houses. It's a family." Her words were met with warm applause. As the sun began to set, Tom walked around, talking to neighbors and enjoying the calm happiness of the evening. A young girl approached him shyly. "Mr. Tom," she said softly, "thank you for helping make our neighborhood so nice." Tom smiled warmly. "You're welcome, Sarah. It's thanks to all of us working together." The day ended with everyone sharing a group photo, capturing a moment of joy and unity. After the celebration, Tom felt a renewed sense of purpose. He knew that building a strong community wasn't about one person's effort but the collective heart of everyone living there. The next morning, as Tom and Max walked down the street, neighbors greeted them with smiles and friendly waves. Lisa joined them, holding a box of flyers. "We're starting a monthly newsletter," she said excitedly. "It will share neighborhood news, events, and stories." Tom nodded enthusiastically. "That's a great way to keep everyone connected." Over the next weeks, the newsletter became a success. Neighbors submitted recipes, shared helpful tips, and wrote thank you notes to each other. The feeling of belonging grew deeper. Mark wrote a letter too, expressing his gratitude for the chance to be part of the community. It touched many hearts. One afternoon, the HOA board met to discuss future plans. Tom suggested creating a small community garden where neighbors could grow vegetables and flowers together. Mrs. Evans loved the idea. "It's a wonderful way to bring people together and beautify our neighborhood." The garden project began with excitement. Families volunteered to help clear a small empty lot, prepare the soil, and plant seeds. Children learned about plants and nature, and elders shared gardening tips. The garden quickly became a favorite spot. It was a symbol of growth and hope, just like the neighborhood itself. Through all the hard work and celebrations, Tom remembered the early days, the fear, the anger, and the uncertainty. He realized those moments had taught everyone the value of trust, kindness, and teamwork. One evening, as Tom sat on his porch watching the stars, Lisa came by with a cup of tea. "Do you ever think about what started all this?" she asked. Tom nodded. "Yes. It began with something bad, but look at what came from it. A stronger, kinder community." Lisa smiled. "That's the best kind of story." They sat quietly for a moment, enjoying the calm night. Tom looked around at the peaceful street and felt grateful. No matter what challenges came next, he knew they would face them together. Because this neighborhood was not just a place to live, it was home. The neighborhood had changed a lot since the day the fake officer smashed Tom's car. What once was a place of fear and uncertainty had become a warm, friendly community filled with trust and hope. Tom woke up early one morning, feeling the gentle sunlight through his window. The air smelled fresh, and birds chirped happily. It was the kind of morning that made him smile. He went outside and saw neighbors already busy in the community garden. Children were watering plants, and Mrs. Patel was planting bright marigolds. Mark was there too, carefully tending to a small patch of tomatoes. Tom felt a deep sense of peace. The garden was more than just a place to grow vegetables, it was a symbol of what the neighborhood had become. A place where people cared for each other, helping new things grow. As Tom walked through the street, he noticed fresh flowers on front porches, clean sidewalks, and kids riding their bikes happily. It was a true home. Lisa came out from her house, waving with a big smile. "Good morning, Tom. Are you coming to the monthly neighborhood meeting tonight?" Tom nodded. "I wouldn't miss it." The monthly meetings had become an important part of the community. It was where everyone shared ideas, solved problems, and celebrated successes. That evening, the community center filled with neighbors chatting and laughing. Tom sat beside Lisa and Mrs. Patel, ready to listen and help. Mrs. Evans, the HOA chairperson, stood up and spoke. "This neighborhood has come so far. We faced fear and uncertainty, but together, we built trust and friendship. Tonight, I want to thank all of you." Applause filled the room. Tom shared a story from the past few months. "I remember when we first met Mark, the man who seemed lost and alone. Now, he's part of our family. That's the power of kindness and patience." Mark smiled from his seat, his eyes shining. "I'm grateful for all of you." You showed me a new way. Then, a young girl named Sarah stood up. I want to thank Tom and Lisa for helping make our neighborhood safe and fun. I love playing outside now. The room filled with happy smiles and nods. After the meeting, neighbors stayed to talk and plan new projects. Ideas like a book club, a weekend market, and a sports day were shared. Everyone wanted to keep the spirit alive. Tom walked home feeling proud and hopeful. He thought about how a broken mirror and a smashed car had started a journey none of them could have imagined. The next day, Tom visited the small park with Max. He sat on a bench and watched families enjoy the sunny day. Children played on the swings while parents chatted nearby. A woman approached him. It was Mrs. Nguyen, the young mother who had once said she felt connected to the neighborhood for the first time. Tom, she said warmly, thank you for everything. You helped us all become a family. Tom smiled. We all did it together. Suddenly, Max barked softly and ran toward a small boy sitting alone on the grass. The boy looked up and smiled shyly. Tom walked over and said, Hi there. What's your name? Ben, the boy said. Would you like to play with Max? Ben nodded happily. Tom sat beside the boy and watched as Max gently played with him. He realized that moments like these were what truly mattered. Later that week, Tom received a letter from the city council. They were impressed by the neighborhood's transformation and wanted to feature it as a model community in their newsletter. Tom shared the news at the next meeting. Our story can inspire others, he said proudly. The neighbors cheered. As weeks turned into months, the neighborhood continued to grow stronger. The spirit of kindness, trust, and care became a way of life. Tom looked around one evening as he sat on his porch. The street was quiet, the stars shining bright. He felt grateful for the journey, for the challenges that made them stronger, and for the friendships that made this place a true home. He knew that whatever happened next, this neighborhood would face it together, with open hearts and helping hands. Because that was what made a house a home. And that was the real story of their community, a story of hope, courage, and love.